Your wives, your little ones, and your livestock shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side of the Jordan. But you shall pass before your brethren armed, all your mighty men of valor, and help them, until the Lord has given your brethren rest, as he gave you, and they also have taken possession of the land, which the Lord your God is giving them. Then you shall return to the land of your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave you, on this side of the Jordan, toward the sunrise. Joshua 1:14 and 15. Several of the tribes of Israel settled on the east side of the Jordan River. Those included the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. It must have been very tempting to the men to cease fighting and settle down with their wives and children to build new lives. But that was not an option that was left open to them. Their fellow Israelites had helped them to take possession of their share of the promised land. It was only right for them to send those men of fighting age to continue alongside of the rest of the Israelites until the full promise was completed. As believers, it is all too easy to look around and say, "I've got mine, and I worked hard for it," and stop right there. It doesn't matter if we're talking about eternal salvation, or financial security, or freedom of worship. Yes, we may have obtained any number of those things. Have our brothers and sisters? As long as there are believers living in fear of persecution, such as the Yazidis in the Middle East, our job is not done. As long as there are people around us who do not know the Lord our God, our job is not done. If fellow believers are suffering, our job is not done. But what can we do? Believers on a different continent seem so far away. How can we possibly make a difference? We may have not even enough to provide for our own families. How do we provide for all of those around us? Perhaps we are in a work situation where to speak too openly of matters of faith would be treated as a firing offense. Start with prayer. You are not responsible for every situation. But where you are aware of a situation, take the time to lift it up to the Lord in prayer. If every believer were faithful to this duty alone, we would change the world in ways we cannot even fathom. As you continue in prayer, ask for wisdom, discernment, and guidance. God will show you what steps He next wants you to take, if any. They will be radically different for each individual believer, and no one way of helping is better than another. There will be those called to remain as faithful prayer warriors. There will be those called to service in their own communities. And there will be those called to service elsewhere in the world. Each is needful. Each is a blessing. No one person can do everything. But if we all do what we can and what God leads us to do, we can move mountains.